Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're talking with Dionysius, the Tome of Reckoning. I keep saying tomb.
It's okay. A lot of people do. I think it's going to take some people to get used to it.
So it's first off, man. Once I announced that you were coming on, a lot of people have been retweeting and saying, how you seem to get yourself a cult following there.
That's awesome. I am excited for everybody that's into this book and anybody that's helped out. I can't say thank you enough, man. You know how it is. You're putting out something, and when anybody shows any amount of interest for something that you've made for yourself, it just makes you glow, man. So I'm excited for any help I get, any retweets, any backers, any people that have me on shows. Just super, super stoked and thankful for your graciousness, man.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm excited to talk to people about comic books, my comic book, your comic book, comic books in general. So
for sure,
you're saving my poor life, my poor wife from listening to me pontificate about books. So she appreciates it too.
That's awesome.
You again, too much coffee because I get myself excited. The Tome of Reckoning issue 2, the horror adventure continues. Is this live right now?
It is. It's live, and I think I have 5 more days. It ends on Sunday, I believe, on Indiegogo. For some reason, I didn't sync the Kickstarter the same, and the Kickstarter ends in a couple of days as well. A little shorter than the Indiegogo, but it's funded. So
you're doing them simultaneous, Kickstarter and Indiegogo?
I did, yeah, I did. Just to see how it would go.
And how is that going?
It's going really good on Indiegogo. It's funny because on Indiegogo, since I've launched my last campaign, number 1, they've changed their algorithm, so you can no longer search any new launched books unless it has a big following and a lot of they have, I don't know what they call it, but so long story short, you can't find me on Indiegogo unless you search. But you can find me on Kickstarter if you just look at just launch. But I'm having better success on Indiegogo, which I think speaks to the volume of the people that are backing me that feel like Indiegogo is a better platform. But I still funded on Kickstarter at $503. I had a $500 minimum, so I'm excited for that too. So we'll see how that goes next time as well. I think I'm going to do the trifecta next time and see how it goes with Fund My Comic too.
I'm going to launch my comic on Fund My Comic, and I'm going to do the exclusive. I don't know, like a month, 2 months, or whatever.
That's awesome.
And I don't think it's any secret. I told Luke, and then when that closes, I'm going to do Indiegogo, and then when that closes, I'll do Kickstarter. So I'll have,
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, I want to do one at a time and promote one because I don't want them competing with each other. Yeah,
and that's what my thought was too. It just seems like people are so. I think the reason I did it that way was more because so many people are so fickle about which site they want to use. So, but I think your way is probably the best way to do it, that we have 3 months of total attention to each campaign, and you can give it your utmost attention to make sure it's. So I think that's the way to go. I might do that. I might do the staggering thing next time as well.
Yeah, I don't know. First off, I find it weird that some people won't use, like, if you got a good steak, I'm going to your restaurant. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So, but I do understand, like, and I don't want to get into politics, but I do understand the politics of certain companies.
Right.
I just saw something today from Mark Polton about he had a problem with one of the sites. I'm just, go look up Mark Polton. I'm not here to name names.
Exactly.
And that makes me nervous, so, and I even wonder, does anybody even work at Indiegogo or Kickstarter? Who do you talk to? There seems to be no accountability. So I'm nervous.
It's true. And I think it's probably going to get that way more so in the future with AI as well. Wouldn't you assume? Where they're just going to be like out the door. We'll hope AI takes care of it. And who cares if the creators get their money, which is, it's a little disheartening. So
yeah, I'm a little guy. If because that's what happened is Mark's having a problem getting his money. And that's his business. Like, if I don't get my comic book money, I still have a full-time job. You know what I mean? I'll live. The comic will probably come out, and there probably won't be a next issue because, but whatever. But Mark, this is his job.
Exactly.
This is bread and butter. I wonder what he's going to do.
And
especially again, I'm trying to curse your campaign.
No, not at all. And luckily I've had luck, so hopefully it continues that way. But like you said, it's also one of those things where they're getting money from it as well. So you'd hope that they would make it as easy for you to run a campaign so that, especially a successful one, because Polton has done some pretty successful campaigns. So they're getting a good chunk of that. If they want the next chunk, then make sure the guy gets his money,
Yeah. Speaking of campaigns, if you don't mind, I just wanted to help out a buddy. I think that's what this independent thing is helping out a buddy.
Heck yeah.
if you've been, oh, what did I just do? Oh, okay, I hit the wrong button. If you guys know me well enough, if you know this channel well enough, you'll know that why can't I? Oh, there we go. You know that I'm good buddies with Mark with Mark Polton, with Brian, well, him too, with Brian Bao, and he has a comic called Wolf and Batsy, and it should be launching as we speak, right over here on Fund My Comic.
It's awesome.
I love his comic. He separated from Alterna Comics. They parted ways. I don't know the particulars. I don't want to know the particulars. I like Pete. I like Brian. So that's between them. That's not my story to tell. But he's Bloody Weirdo Comics, and I love this little logo. He drew this when he was like 7 years old. It's his first picture of a werewolf, and he's using it as a logo. I just love it. And
that is awesome.
He's getting better and better and better. And I'm sorry to be taken away from your time, but I got to help a buddy out. And
look, when it comes to werewolves, the more the merrier. So no, and I've been following this book for a while. Unfortunately, I haven't picked it up. But now that I know I'm gonna now for sure.
Well,
it looks
look
great.
at this. Look at this tier. And again, this is for $40, you could get 12 issues.
That's awesome.
And I think autographed 12 issues for $40. Guys, come on.
Get on that for sure.
So I'm just going to stop sharing. I just wanted to help a buddy out. That's what it's all about.
Well, it's funny. Wolf and Batsy, I've seen that around, and I love the concept of it, man, of the vampire werewolf, going from town to town. So that's right up my alley too, man. So, and it's one of those things. I love horror, and I love every type of horror. I love a bunch of werewolves. I love vampires. So. That's awesome.
You're a horror guy. So don't take my word for it. It says right there, the horror adventure continues. That's awesome. I got to ask you this.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I didn't back issue number 1.
It's okay.
No offense. I just missed it. I can't,
No,
so
yeah, of course.
If I'm gonna back this. This looks right up my alley. Can I get issue number 1?
You can. So I essentially have a tier where you can get both digital copies, which will be 72 pages total, so 36 pages per issue of story for $7, or you can back the physical copy of issue 2, and you get a PDF of issue 1 to get caught up, thrown in. With the PDF of issue 2 for $10 plus $5 shipping in the US. And then I have a tier for both issues physical, both with issue 1 and 2, the PDFs as well, for $20 plus $5 shipping.
I got it. I'm an old man. I got to have my physical copies.
I believe
you young kids with your PDFs, get off my lawn.
Exactly. And it's funny. I feel the same way, but I know that's
right.
Partially the way it's going. And I know that shipping that I have for overseas is $35. So I wanted to give the option for anybody that wanted it. Yeah. $7, here you go. And if you want to print it too, it's DDM free or DRM free. If anybody wants to print it up at home on their printer, I have no qualms whatsoever. So yeah,
I've been wrestling with that myself because I like comic books. I like the smell of comic books. I like the touch of comic books. Yes. I'm a hoarder. I got them all. But I also understand that the youngins, the kids today, they're different than me, and they want PDFs. So at first I was going to have no PDFs. And then a couple of people were like, well, I live in Canada. I live in Mexico. I can't back your book then. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's just me being stubborn.
Yeah. I was the same way actually on the first one. I took somebody's suggestion, and it was I went with it. Nothing against them, but the second one I was like, let me just because I just want to get my book out. I want people to read it, and even if it's reading it digitally, I just want you to enjoy it. I've been having a blast writing it. I've written it for myself, and to see other people take enjoyment of it. If they can get it for $7 or whatever price you want to give for a PDF, just take it. I'm going to continue doing it. I really don't know how many I've sold. I got to check on that. But it's one of those things where even if it's just 3 or 4 people, at least they were able to purchase it and read it at home the way they like. So,
and you're the writer. You have an artist.
Oh, I'm the writer, artist, inker. My fiance wife is the colorist. And I have a flatter for issue 2. I have a flatter. I'm probably going to get her again, but money's tight. But my letterer is from Brazil. His name is Davison Manes. He's awesome. So it's just a 4-man team for issue 2.
Yeah. I do believe for comic books, the smaller the team, the more like, I don't know, what's the word, like
cohesive,
pure the comic is, And
I think I'm sure you feel the same way. The part of comic making, even if it's not a big team or if it's just a small team, but specifically that it's that camaraderie that reminds me of the old days that I read about. Kirby and Lee and Buscema and all those guys working together. So it gives me that feeling of I'm sort of glad that somebody else is doing the lettering. I think I'll keep it that way. He's better than I am anyway. But I just enjoy that collaborative spirit.
this what I always say is I'm an electrician, and if I need carpentry done, I'm going to hire a carpenter. Like let the specialists do their job. You know.
Exactly.
It's funny that you said that about the camaraderie and everything, because so many times as a kid reading Stan Lee's soap ops, he's talking about the bullpen. I don't know about you, but I always thought you went to Marvel Comics and there was like a big cafeteria of cubicles, and Jack Kirby's over here drawing, and Sal Buscema's over here, and I'm Marv Wolfman's writing over here. He's running around. I didn't have the idea that they all worked from home and mailed stuff to the office.
I did not either until years later, and that's how I felt whenever I read the back. I always thought, okay, they're all working together, and so. But yeah, it's funny, man.
I always wanted to go and run through there, and just like this guy's drawing Submariner, this guy's inking Submariner.
Exactly.
But they say that there was a bullpen in the 50s when it was Atlas Comics.
Right. Right, but it's funny. I was under the same assumption until years later. I heard Kirby was drawing in his dungeon, so to speak, and doing books down there.
Yeah,
which
he didn't live in New York, he was in California.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's a trip, and to be doing that so long ago, prior to the ease of electronics that we have right now, is pretty impressive. Having to mail everything stale.
I heard horror stories that some of his original pages got lost in the mail.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Could you? They must be destroyed.
It's a bummer, and even if they were stolen, that's even worse. But but just to know that they're gone. Actually, I think to know that they're destroyed is probably even worse. At least if they're stolen, they could still show up. Exactly. It's like I think Neil Adams lost a portfolio a couple of years ago. Yeah. I think maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And I don't know if he ever got it back, but I think it was a bunch of work he had.
Right? Somebody took off with one of his.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Bummer, man.
You can't even sell it, who?
No, yeah, you're hot. It's crazy. Yeah,
I heard that Nicolas Cage had a copy of Action Comics #1, and it got stolen. And I heard just 2 or 3 years ago, it got returned to him because when he insured it, they took photocopies, and somebody was trying to sell it, and the imperfections of it showed like a fingerprint, and he got it back.
That's awesome that he got it back. It's such a scummy thing to do. And that guy, I mean, you gotta love him for his name.
I love Nicolas Cage.
I do too, and his name comes from Luke Cage. I mean, and just such a comic fan to take something like that from. I lost my collection about 20 years ago, I want to say, and I had a big collection from when I was a kid, and I've yet to actually get everything back. I've just gotten
How'd you lose it?
It was break up from a girlfriend, let somebody keep them for a little while, and then it's one of those things where that guy keeps them. It's like been 10 years since I got it. It's lost track, and I had so many key issues and stuff that to know that he lost something like that, it's like it's insane, man. So I feel that pain immensely.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. His real name is Coppola. He changed it to Cage.
Yeah,
and he named his son Kal-El,
which is cool too.
That likes comics, yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. So to take that away from somebody that loves it that much, it's heart-wrenching, man. So I'm glad he got that back.
I just want to acknowledge all the people in the chat. I just realized Elon Mudd is here. He has got a comic coming out called the Plunger.
The Plunger, indeed. Heck yeah.
I can't wait to see. Is that what you look like? He didn't have a camera when we talked.
He's a handsome dude. Look at him.
Yeah, look at that. He doesn't look anything like a Plunger. So we got the Jolly Green. Hail
Jolly.
Shot.
What's up, Jolly? Jolly's the man.
I'm a Greek mythology freak. So when I saw your name was Dionysus, I was like, that is so cool.
That's awesome.
Matter of fact, I have if my comic goes well, I have mythological stories I want to tell. Involving Dionysus. And then we got Marcus Kellegrew, who's my moderator. I can't think of like a Stan Lee kind of thing. What should I call him? Marvelous Marcus?
Yeah, I think that's great. Marvelous Marcus is perfect.
And I got to sell. Nick Axe busts my chops because I don't push enough. Heroic Tales, that's my pint glass with the symbol for the patriarch.
That's awesome.
And it's we were talking beforehand that the patriarch is Greek and Irish. That's his ancestry. And Dionysus is Greek and Irish.
Greek and Irish. Yeah, it's funny. My character, one of the characters in the book is Greek and Irish as well, man. So I think it's a good hot-headed mix. So
I'm Italian Irish.
So you're the same thing. My last name is actually Italian.
I like to eat. I like to drink. I was doomed from the beginning.
My man. Yeah, you have the same. I can sense it. It's funny. My last name is actually Italian. I'm a Greek guy, but the root of it was Italian. Adellinus. So Adellini. Yeah.
My grandmother's name is Adelina.
Yeah, so so most Greek names sound like Snuffleupagus, Papadopoulos, Snuffleupagus. But I have the Italian name, but it's been in Greece for a while. So yeah,
I had a foreman I'm a construction worker, and
Mhm.
my foreman 2 jobs ago was named. His real name was Sophocles Theodorus.
Oh yeah, that's Greek. Yeah, that's
Not only was it Greek, I expected him to be walking around with a toga on,
exactly, and the wreath behind the head. That's
and I
awesome,
forget
man.
the nickname, but he had a funny nick, but turned out to be the nicest guy. But I just love that name. Like once he, oh man, it's
Was
killing
was
me.
it
I
was it
remember his name.
Gus?
What's that?
Was it
No,
Gus by
his nickname
chance?
was like Smiley or something like that
Oh,
because he
okay,
was
okay.
smiling. And but I kept calling him Sophocles because I was like, you got a name like Sophocles, you got to go by it. You know?
Exactly. So the English translation of Dionysius is Dennis, which my
Yeah.
family and friends call me. So it's one of those things too, where it's like, oh, Dionysius, Dennis. But yeah, it fits to me. So if you want to call me that as well, you're more than welcome to.
So where was I? Okay, I recognized everybody in the chat. Charlie Green, Grey Wolf, how you doing, everybody? So tell me a little bit about your comic.
Sure. It's a horror adventure road trip set during an impending apocalypse. It's about a group of people that are thrown together in the midst of some crazy happenings that are happening in the beginning of the book. And essentially, they're thrown together and forced to become a family while they're on a road trip fighting a two-front war against shadow government forces and an ancient evil from beyond. So it's got werewolves, vampires, interdimensional beings, sorcerers, antediluvian sorcerers. It touches on a lot of ancient stuff. The Tome of Reckoning is essentially an ethereal book that has accounted every time that there's been a reset on Earth and every other realm that is connected in between. So it's essentially something that goes through all different dimensions at once, which sort of comes together on Earth where portals are ripped open and we're going to different dimensions. They're coming into our dimension, and it's essentially just a story about what happens when the dust settles, when the apocalypse is over, and what does the world look like, and when the victors choose to move on.
Oh, okay, cool. It sounds like a lot's going on. Is this a finite story? Do you have
It is. It's a finite story. I have 4 issues that are done right now. Third one's being colored. It's probably 15 issues for the first arc, which has a finite ending as well. So if you wanted to stop there, you can. But then it probably has, I think, 15 more issues for arc 2 and 3. So yeah, it's one of these things where if I wasn't putting it out, I'd still be doing it. It's been a passion project for me since I was 12 years old. It's been seen different iterations of it. It's funny, when I was about 17 and I was going to do it again, or I finally thought I had, the capability to do it. It was called Phantom Force, and I worked at a comic book store. And at that time, I was looking through previews to order stuff, and a book was coming out by this creator. He was not a big name at all, Jack Kirby, who had a book called Phantom Force. And I was like, oh man, but
he's a hack.
Yeah, exactly, right. If anybody was going to take that name, I'm glad it was him. So from there on out, it was called The Reckoning. And then probably about 5 years ago, when I finally buckled down, started writing everything out, got the whole gist from the beginning to the end of the story that spans thousands of years. I called it the Tome of Reckoning just to give it its own little thing. Yeah, it's a finite story, but it's my passion project that I'll be working on for as long as I can until I get it out of my body. So
get it out of your body.
Yeah, for real.
So let me ask: is this your full-time job? Do you do?
No, I'm actually
mild-mannered reporter during the day, superhero at night.
No, this is not my full time. This is and it's funny. I'm actually in between jobs right now. No, it's okay.
The of working is looking for work.
It is, but you know what? There's so many people out there that are, I'm actually unlucky, I was in a car accident about a year ago. Work related. No, yeah, it's no big deal. It's the back is feeling better. The leg, I think, is always going to be bummed out, but it was a work related injury. Somebody slammed me going 55 while I was parked. Yeah, but I'm one of those guys where I had to work. So I took 3 days off for that injury and worked an entire year. And I left when they weren't respecting and appreciating the guy who busted his ass,
almost literally.
40 plus hours, and everybody's short staffed. So I'm not really worried about finding work. They were so short staffed that I wanted to make sure I did right by them by staying on, but they, respect was lost. And I'm a very big on respect. But luckily I had, we have money saved up. We have a baby on the way. And as soon as the
Oh,
baby's here,
congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. Second. So the one's coming in March. And after
We
that,
know something wasn't ruined in the accident.
no, it wasn't. Exactly. I wish. No, I'm kidding. Super excited. So as soon as the baby's here, back to work. I'll find work like I always do. But luckily we have a little bit of a nest egg right now where I can take care of the wifey and we can get this stuff done. So yeah, I've been out of work for not that long, so it's perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working, and then I don't know about you, but when I only write, I
Yes.
can't draw, I can't ink, I can't do anything else.
Mhm.
I'm not even good with computers. So like I said, I'm hiring the specialists to do all this stuff.
Right.
But when I write, I come home from work, I'm exhausted. It's cold out. I have a physical job. I can't concentrate, and then I do a lot of. So I only write on Sundays, and
Mhm.
I just enjoy it. I wake up, I do my Sunday show. Afterwards, I make my coffee, and then all day long, I just write.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you have a system, which is perfect too. So your body's used to that as well. Where Sunday comes along for you, you're ready and it's ready to spew out. And you're spending Monday through Saturday thinking, I'm sure, every day, every minute of the day at work. Yeah, that's it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I found that this is really funny. I talk to everybody.
Mhm.
My wife laughs at me because I'll go to the deli, and as the guy's slicing the bologna, I'm inviting him over my house to play games.
That's awesome.
But I'm a construction worker, so
Mhm.
sometimes you go to this job, you take the train. Sometimes you go to this job, you drive it. So
Right.
right now I'm on the Long Island Railroad, and I've been standing next to this big, scary guy. This guy is built like Lou Ferrigno. He's like 6'7", all muscular, and I was the one guy I was intimidated to talk to. But we would stand next to each other for 8 months, not saying a word.
Oh wow.
And then I forget what happened. Oh, I ended up standing up on the train because it was just packed. And
Mhm.
he called me over and made me sit in between him because you're sitting down. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
You paid for the train seat, you're sitting down,
Right.
And then that broke the ice. Turns out the guy's a big comic book freak.
That's
Big
awesome.
time. So every day, we do the fist bump thing, and then
Right.
so what's going on in your comic book? And I'm showing him rough art, giving him showing him where I am,
Right.
So it's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Everything I daydream about, I get to hash out with this guy.
I was gonna say, and it's a sounding board for somebody who's into this stuff too, which is awesome, man.
And we only have like a 7-minute window.
Right.
So I got to give him the elevator pitch. He goes, "Oh man, that sounds good. You should do this." And then we find seats, and we don't always sit together, but it's just nice.
Oh,
Every
that's
day
awesome.
I get to dump these ideas on somebody who's a willing participant.
That's awesome.
And it's not too much that he's going to get sick. And I always wait to see if he asks me because he's big and I don't want to get him mad.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry. That's awesome.
And it's funny because now I'll say something to I'm downstairs, my wife is upstairs. I'll go upstairs and I'll say, "Hey, honey, I want to tell you something." She goes, "It's not about your comic book again, is it?"
Oh, that's awesome. But the cool thing is, if you didn't have that passion for it, then who's going to want to read your story? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm sure you're excited too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm when we're done talking, I'm back in. It's funny because every time I have one of these talks, I'm like, my friend's like, "You're on YouTube. Oh wow, you got 1,000 subs. I saw you have commercials. You making any money?" I'm like, "No." Every time I have a live chat, I'm backing some guy's book.
Well, that's appreciated, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year kicks off for you. I mean, look, everybody, when people heard I was coming on the show, they were stoked. So you're well known. So hopefully it starts taking off for you.
Today, Worthy Chaos.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was on my channel a couple weeks ago, and now I got the books today. As I'm dropping comic books all over the floor.
That's a good place to be in, though, man. I miss my collection. I have a lot of trades right now, but I miss having a bunch of floppies around, looking through my long box. So
So you said you had a big collection.
I did.
What were you collecting? What was your stuff?
Oh, it was everything. Marvel, DC. I mean, a lot of key issues. I was funny. I see a lot of people, post, oh, this is a key issue. You can get, the first appearance of Gambit, which essentially, from what I remember, wasn't actually his real first appearance, but it's the one with Rogue or Storm on the cover. Stuff from Cosmic Spider-Man, my old Dwayne McDuffie Deathlock books. But I mean, I had subscription to Marvel for a while there as well. So getting everything at the house. So I had, a bunch of books. I think I had 2 long boxes. I lost it around when I was like 20 something years old. So, and I still have a stack luckily that was left over and saved from the breakup, so to speak. But just everything, horror stuff, Evil Ernie stuff, but a lot of Marvel stuff and a lot of DC, a lot of the traditional, books. But yeah, I miss it. Just, we're talking about the smell of comics as well. I miss the smell. I miss the feel. I miss just going through that stuff. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm creating my own world right now. And I think that's how I'm getting over that specific breakup, not the girl, but the comics,
Comics,
so
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was saying that around the block from where I grew up, there was a bookstore, Stu's Books. And I went in there all the time. And it was just old books, and I love the smell of old books. And this guy just was like, he knew everything was. You like, at the time I was all into the Beat Jack Kerouac and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, do you have the the Neil Cassidy book? And he'd be like, oh yeah, here it is. And then finally somebody goes like, oh, did you ever see the comics? I'm like, the guy doesn't have comics. He's got regular books. He goes, you never been downstairs?
Oh wow.
Like, are you kidding me?
Downstairs.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
I saw that there was a curtain.
Right.
And I saw that there were steps, but I just assumed that was employees only.
Right.
I never. So I went in. I'm like, "Do you have comic books downstairs?" He's like, "Oh yeah." Go downstairs. It was, I not even joking. For 20 years, I never knew that this guy had like boxes and boxes. Oh my god! So now I'm down there going through the comics. I gotta get this, and then of course things get away, and then I go back. It's closed.
Oh.
He was like 800 years old. It's like, oh my god, this treasure trove. Who knew what this guy had? I'm so mad.
Oh, it's a bummer, man.
Yeah.
I used to work in a comic book store growing up. So
when I went downstairs and I smelled I just remember going like, oh man.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a feeling of, especially look, there's comic stores that people have that they go to today that can give them that feeling, and I hope some kids have the same experience that we did. But there's something magical about being a kid and finally finding that hobby and finding that place where you can go in and just everything's in there, long boxes of old stuff, new stuff on the wall, and some raggedy guy who's a keeper of knowledge behind the counter. So yeah, I miss that, man.
Yeah, I do, and that's one of the things. Like me personally, I don't read PDFs, but whatever. Kids today, but I love the stacks of comics. It was funny because before my wife, I was dating this girl, and we were sitting in my basement, and I was just sorting comics. I take like a big stack of I have a bed. I read them. I put them in a long box, and then when the long box gets full, I'll take them and I'll alphabetize them, fix the tape, fix the bags or whatever, put them back in the long box alphabetical, and then mix them to what I call the general population. And she was just helping me, because that's what girlfriends do, I guess, and she was just like, look at you doing this. She goes, this is a guy that, like, I wake up, I throw my underwear on the floor. I don't make my bed. You open up my drawers, all my t-shirts. She goes, but this she goes, you didn't say a word for 2 hours. You just had a smile on your face. And then,
that's awesome.
And then my wife, same thing. She goes, I love your energy when you're sorting comics. I'll like Saturday nights is sorting comics night.
That's awesome.
I got this. I'm pointing like you could see it, but on the other side, there's a big screen TV and I got 2 recliners. She'll come downstairs, she'll make dinner, and I'm walking around sorting comic books on my big table, and she's talking, and I don't even hear it because I'm like, oh, I was 18 years old when this comic book came out, when Jack Kirby drew this cover, and and Len Wein did this, and blah blah blah, sorting comics,
right?
And
that's awesome.
She's just laughing. She knows I'm not listening, but it's nothing personal.
No, not at all. And
right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We love, they have their thing that they're into too, that we love, that it's cute when they're into that stuff too. So hey, Corey. So yeah. I mean, and to have that passion for it, somebody can appreciate when somebody has a passion for something like that. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
I like hearing about people's hobbies. I didn't realize this until one day I was watching Conan O'Brien, a show that I just don't like late night TV anymore. And he had Tom Hanks on, and it was just run of the mill promoting some movie. I don't even know what movie it was. And it was kind of like I was halfway paying attention. And then he started saying, I heard you collect typewriters. And Tom Hanks was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, tell me, that's kind of odd. And then Tom Hanks just he just goes to garage sales and get old clocked over typewriters, and
that's awesome.
he'll fix them and he puts them in this. I was fascinated fascinated by this, and it was just like a boring little interview. And I was like, oh my God, people collect. And now I'm looking up online typewriters. I love hearing about people's hobbies, and my buddy's wife is into the Rangers. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
really a sports guy, but yeah, I used to go to the house if there was like a Rangers game, and she would have her Rangers jacket. She would put the makeup on her face
Of
and
course.
just talk stats. And she might as well have been talking Korean for all I know.
That's
But
awesome.
it was just so much fun.
It's cool to see somebody light up. I'm sure Tom Hanks
Yeah.
lit up when he mentioned that he was at the typewriter stuff. So no,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, when somebody has a passion about something and you see it, there's something that you can enjoy. It's a flame that catches onto you as well, so to speak.
Yeah. Even though I know nothing, and that's what my wife says. She says she likes, because I used to have my comics in a storage unit when we lived in an apartment, and every Saturday we would drive down to the storage unit and sort comics. I had a lounge, not a lounge chair, a beach chair that I would fold out for her, and we had a little radio, and she would just sit there, and talk to me while I was. And I didn't know what the hell she was saying, because I'm sorting comics, and then we'd go out for dinner. So,
That's awesome. That's super cool, man.
So do you have any other hobbies besides comics?
Not really. I like to surf, but I haven't been surfing in a little while. It's a little hard with the little one.
Yeah.
But
get busted up. We'll do that.
Yeah, it will. But other than that, just comics, man. Comics and that's pretty much it. Just really focused on my own little world, so to speak. So that and the family, obviously. But yeah, just comics. Yeah, just really just trying to work on this. I have other story ideas as well that I want to do, but this one just has my full attention right now. So
and you said you've been working on this since you were 17?
Well, so I've been working on it since I was like 12. I had the idea when I was about 12 years old, and then 17 was when I was like, oh, I want to call it Phantom Force. And then after that, I took time off of drawing, maybe like 10 years here or there. It was just one of those things where I didn't think I wanted to do it anymore, but it's more of a vision issue. But it really just buckled down probably the last like 5 years, just writing it, getting the full story done, and then really just cranking away on the artwork. So
because I was checking out your art. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
You didn't go to art school or anything?
Self-taught. I went to the Kubert School for a year. I did. I went for 1 year. It's just a little bit too expensive for me, so I didn't really return. But I still have friends that went there. But it was one of those things where it just.
I had Zachary on last night. He went to the Kubert School.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I wish I would have finished, but I went 1 year, and most of my stuff is just self-taught. Just since I was a little kid, I was always drawing. I wish I didn't take the decade off that I did. I'm sure I would have probably been in a different spot artistically. But my artwork right now, as to where it looks from the issues that are coming out, is even further than where it is right. What you see in issue 1 and 2. So if you like that stuff, I think you're going to love the newer stuff as well. So thank you for the compliment.
Oh yeah, it looks good. In your day job, you don't have to give any details, but
no, you're good.
Art related?
No, I wish it was. I wish I had it. So I was a manager for a sushi place for about 15 years. I worked in the restaurant industry for a while. The last job I had where I got into the accident, I was a pool guy. Funny enough, which you always think it's the guy with the shirt off. He's just doing lackadaisical stuff.
Do you have sex with a lot of widowers and stuff?
No, unless the sex is listening about their day. Yes. So a lot of sweet people that I clean pools for. But it's funny. It was actually especially where I live. I live in the northern part of Florida where all the pool, it's almost like Southern Georgia is what we call it. But no screened in pools, just leaves. It was a back-breaking job. You look at you watch a Lifetime movie, you're like, oh, it's a simple thing. It's a tan guy who's just barely moving his net around. I'm carrying this like 150-pound vacuum down flights of stairs. And so it was, that's why it was crazy when I got into that accident that I didn't stop. They're like, you should stop. Okay. I'm like, you guys are short-staffed. If I stop, this place is going to go under. So, yeah, it was one of those things where it's not it wasn't as glamorous or as easy as you see it on the TV shows. So
I was a part owner of a pizzeria. I know, an Italian New Yorker part owner of a pizzeria. I'm a walking stereotype. It was rough. I only did it for 3 years, and it was 18-hour days. I just remember being in a pizzeria in August, standing next to the oven. Oh man, believe it or not, I was actually skinny back then, and I was wolfing down pizza. I still love pizza,
Oh, I do too. We just made pizza recently. I'm still trying to get my New York style pizza going. We're close, but we don't have that
water. That's that's close.
It's funny. We don't have the water, and that's part of the secret for the dough. So
buy Deer Park water.
Yes. Oh, okay. Really? Okay. Yeah. Nice.
All it is, it's just filtered better. Believe it or not, New York's got a lot of problems, but our water from the taps are very clean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
buy bottled water and you should have New York pizza.
It's funny. My family is originally from New York. I was born in Jersey, and that's why when you said Rangers fan, my dad's a Rangers fan. My brother's a Rangers fan. My brother was born in well, I guess they call it Spanish Harlem, but it's what the hell is it? I'm drawing a blank right now. But my dad was living in Astoria. My mother was born in Queens. So I missed that northern food. A lot of good food up there, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I just moved out of Queens. I was living in Flushing for like 15
Oh yeah.
years. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then when COVID struck and it closed, all the restaurants closed. Like
Yeah.
I go there once in a while to visit this old lady. She was my neighbor. She's in her 90s, and I take her food shopping every 2 weeks. So I go
awesome.
back every 2 weeks to take her food shopping. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna go drive around to see. I don't recognize any of the restaurants. Like COVID wiped out Queens, and it's all new places. And I'm sure they're really good. But when my favorite Chinese restaurant closed, I'm like, why are we here?
Yeah.
What and
I feel you.
yeah.
And it's one of those. It's funny because down here it's different than the Chinese food up north, man, in New York. So I that's why I make it at home. But yeah, it's one of those things. I miss the food up there, brother. Big time.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
It's just too humid. Like it's the stereotype here. All the electricians, they retire down in Florida. My foreman he's a year older than me, and he's thinking of retiring a little early. And I'm like, it's just too humid.
It is. It is. I mean, it's they say dry heat, wet heat. It doesn't matter. You're getting cooked either way. So humidity is it's not fun. As soon as you step off the plane, if you come down, you're sweating like that. When I was acclimated, when I lived up in Baltimore for a while, and I would come back down, as soon as I got off the plane, I was soaked like that. So yeah, it's definitely something to get used to, man. And I don't know if it's that easy.
I lived in Albuquerque for 7 years. I could deal with the dry heat. I like the dry heat, but oh man, I was in Houston. Man, I thought I was going to die. I was in New Orleans in January, and even that was unrelenting.
Yeah,
it's still hot.
It is. I mean, here we had 40-degree weather, but then the next day it's like 80 something, and the humidity is off the charts. So yeah,
I didn't recognize it. This is my buddy Cam. Me and Cam, we went to the same comic book store as kids. He lives in Florida right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He's as much as I know about comic books, Cam knows more. It's just
that's cool.
I know he wasn't foolish enough to start a YouTube channel.
That's awesome.
He's more sensible than me. So I always ask, because when I see issue number 2, I'm so glad that you have a physical copy of issue number 1 that I can, because you know how obsessive comic book people are.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'll be back in that. Let me ask. So you already fulfilled the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Did you fulfill it yourself? You mailed everything?
I did. It was fairly easy though. My first campaign had, I think, 13 backers, which I'm excited that all 13 backed. We got to exactly 500, so it wasn't too much of an issue. And I think I was just a month late, and that was due to printer issues. So I was supposed to have it delivered by October 31st, but I think it got to people around right before Christmas. It did. So
a month late's not that bad.
Not at all. And fulfilling myself wasn't that bad. And it was sort of nice to get used to doing everything. But like I said, it was only 13. I think with this one, I have 13 backers on Kickstarter and 53 on Indiegogo. So it'll be a little bit more this time, but I'm not doing anything except for sitting at home with the girls, and it should be fairly easy to get out. So
I for my campaign, if I have 100 or less backers, I'll fulfill it myself.
Totally.
But if I get more than that, I know me. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake, and then somebody will be mad at me,
right.
And then they won't like my comic because I messed up. You know what I mean? So
no, totally.
I don't trust myself. So
I get it.
If I have 101, I'm going to go with Critical Blast, and he's going to be my fulfillment server.
I'm actually looking to talk to him as well. I know we're friends on Twitter, but I've yet to really pull the trigger on that. So
he's a great guy, and we talked, not live, just a private talk about setting up a campaign, and the guy answers all your questions. He knows his stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's just see. I'm chomping at the bit I'm chomping at the bit to get this comic in your hand. I can't wait till I get my haters, to the guys that come. the worst, and I'm a hack. I can't wait for that.
That's awesome. Well, there's gonna be way more people that are into it, man. It's always
Thank
usually
you.
it's always usually a small minority of people that are haters, and they're haters for everything. So, and not
Right,
to say that the legitimate gripes or anything. I know that's a thing too. But from everything I've seen of your book, man, the art looks great. The story, what I've heard of the story, looks great. And now that I know he's a Greek and Irish guy, it looks even greater. So,
yeah, I almost gave away a spoiler. I don't want to give away a spoiler.
no, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, for sure. I know. Isn't it hard to
Yeah,
like? I
no,
mean,
I
when
wanna
you're telling.
I want to tell you. I tell
Yeah.
you, the guy whose name I don't even know on the train knows all the secrets of my comics.
That's
He knows what's going to
awesome.
happen in issue 12.
Oh man,
know?
you better hope he doesn't come on and start typing everything out.
You don't have a YouTube channel, do you? And it's funny.
That's awesome.
He's a school principal, and man,
Oh, really?
I was like, do people act up in your school? And he just goes, look at me.
Yeah. Who's acting up with that dude, right?
Yeah, it's huge. Oh, what did Cam say? Northern Florida is awesome. I have dry skin issues, so the humidity is like free. Is that true? I guess I don't have. See, you and I are Mediterranean. We got oily skin, so yeah.
And it's funny you say that, man. Yeah, the oily skin has helped me so much, but I guess it does help with some people. But my skin has no issues with that stuff, man. I've got an oily T zone and everything else, man. It's so funny.
You put me in humidity. I'm like, I joke, and my wife gets disgusted. I go, I stopped making my own gravy.
You're on olive oil.
Number one, delivered from Critical Blast. Always, that's great, encouraging
news. That's cool. For sure.
That's good. I don't know. I'm so excited to be part of this indie scene. I wish there was less drama, but there's nothing I could do about that. I wish the fighting would stop because I just see Kelly Sue DeConnick laughing at us. Every time I see Team A and Team B, I don't want to mention names.
No, I get it.
Fighting, I just see Team Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Oh yeah, of course. It's not a good look, and especially for me, it's been nice because I've actually muted a bunch of it, not unfollowed or blocked. I don't believe in that stuff, unless it's some caustic stuff. But I've just muted everybody, and I'll tell you what, man, and now it's unfortunate for you because you have a YouTube channel, so you have to really be abreast of the situation.
I don't mute anybody. I don't block it. I think the only person I ever blocked was some real weird person who was sending scary messages.
See, I don't blame you. I think the only people I've blocked are people that have blocked me preemptively that I've never spoken to, which is industry vets. Like if you look at me online, I'm a non whatever. You don't see me really talking or really starting any stuff. And I've had people that I've never interacted with before who have blocked me, blockchain, I'm sure, and they get the block. But as of right now, just because after 9/11, and look, because you were up there when it happened, watching the news and watching everything, everybody was stuck to the TV for months after at least the news. That did horrible stuff to me. Not trying to cry because I'm watching the news, but you know what I mean. It affects your mentality.
This is a safe zone, Dionysus.
Sweet, thank you. But it's one of those things where I treated all this drama stuff as I treated that. I said I'm turning it off. And unfortunately, on Twitter, it comes up. I haven't unfollowed these people, and I plan on unmuting a bunch of people later on when I hear it's died down. But as of right now, I think what this industry needs, or what this corner of the comic market needs, is positivity, and not fake positivity, not where you just love everything to love everything, but one of those things where I don't think we need to be at each other's throats.
No.
There's enough space for everybody to do their own thing. And if you're so vested and interested in doing your own thing, maybe you should just focus on that without naming any names and all that stuff. Yeah. So for me, everybody's on mute until I realize the kids have learned to behave and come out of their room. So
I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know if you listen to Diversity Comics. I can't call him Comics Matter. He's Diversity Comics.
Right.
He said the other day, he goes, the first person to go negative, you'll get a spike in sales. He goes, but when say the soda companies, all the soda companies go, then everybody stops drinking soda. And I agree with that.
He's not wrong, man. He's not wrong. I mean, look at the movie industry. Look at the numbers have come down so much because maybe not negativity, but in a sense they've been just putting out crap for so long. People aren't really putting as much money into movies, or rather going to see movies. And I think that's the same thing with comics. If it's all negative stuff, and look, if you're doing it for clicks, I'm not ever going to attack anybody's business. If you're doing it for clicks and stuff that you make money on, that's fine. It's just not my thing, man. I'm old school. I like to keep stuff face to face if I have an issue with somebody. And I think the drama farming on whatever side, it's a little silly to me.
I unfortunately succumbed to fighting 3 times, and 3 times I ended up apologizing, realized that I was the problem. So
right.
The joke I said is like Harvey Keitel and Bad Lieutenant. I try to be good, but I'm too effing weak. I try to do good things. Cam says Cam is very active in going to comic conventions out there in Florida. He saw Eric. I assume that's Eric July last Friday. So good for him. You know, Eric July is going to be on my channel, I think, a week from today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I don't want to. Well, I assume we're going to be talking about drama. I don't want to, but
right.
That's to be the hot topic right now, and I don't want to talk about drama. I want to talk about comics.
I think it would probably go any way you steer it. You know what I mean? Which I don't think it's. If you have him on, I don't think it's terrible to ask about it just to see what's going on. But I think you have such a love for comics. You guys will find something else to talk about anyway.
He's been on my channel before. It's one of the reasons why I will never say anything bad about the guy, because I had nobody. I think I had like 400 subscribers. The guy came on my channel.
That's pretty cool.
And I don't know if he accidentally came on or whatever. I assume somebody that liked him or one of his liked me or whatever. But he was great. He was great. And I also had EBS on it around the same time when I had nobody on. So I'm not going to. I look at it as mommy and daddy are fighting. I love my parents. You know what I mean? Let them. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to talk to Dionysus and we're going to play with our toys in the basement.
And that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm not picking sides. You guys do your thing. And there'll come a time later on.
Then I have 2 Christmases.
There you go. Exactly. And to be honest with you, there'll come a time later on. As long as and I told you I haven't been following, so I don't know if anything crazy is going on. But as long as it's not too crazy, people always make up. So, it'll happen later on.
I'm embarrassed, but I had a fight yesterday with somebody, and I reached out and I apologized, and now we're buddies. So
that's it. Yeah, it happens, and it takes a man to actually be able to put that olive branch forward and to be cool. So that nothing but respect, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I try to be drama free, but sometimes I'm stupid.
Hey, we're only human, brother.
Yeah. So who do you hate in the comic book?
Pretty much everybody. There's a guy named Jolly Green. No, I love that guy. He's the man. He's helped me out so much.
Number 7 will shock you.
Yeah, no, there's nobody I hate, man. Even the people I know, but I mean, just it's just one of those things where even the guys who are blocking me from the mainstream, I don't know you.
Yeah, so. I wanted to talk about that. Since I've been going around trying to get mainstream people to talk, guys that I love their comics, and then I find that I'm blocked by people.
It's the strangest thing, man. It's
and I'm not gonna lie, it hurt my feelings a few times. I don't think anybody's a bigger Kurt Busiek fan than me. And this guy's been. I still have a forum. It's been going on for 20 years. It's called Villains and Vigilantes Forum.com, where I talk about my role playing game. Kurt was a member of that chat.
Wow.
Of that, and we would talk about role playing games. And now 20 years later, I'm blocked.
Which goes to show it might not have been intentional, but at the same point in time, it's not a good look, man.
It's a blockchain.
Right. Yeah. Which is dumb because you're blocking people based on association, which is such Orwellian bullshit. Pardon my French. There's no need for that. Block. I've never spoken ill to anybody on their thing. It's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm one of those guys where I'd rather speak to you online or in person rather than online. So if you're going to block me, that's fine. It's just silly because I don't know you. You're probably getting rid of actual huge fans, like yourself. And it's just it just doesn't look good, man. It's not a. I think, it's like back in the day when we were younger, movie stars, writers, we never knew who they really were, so to speak,
I'm sure Stan Lee and somebody fought like cats and dogs. I'm sure right now there's somebody who's like, that Stan Lee was the son of a bitch.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know about it.
And that's the thing.
I know for a fact there's people that shudder when you say the name Jim Shooter.
Right. Totally.
He made great comics. That's all I want to know.
And there's something to say about that where it's better sometimes just, you don't have to give every thought of yours online, like these professionals do. And you don't have to hide. Don't block people. Just, just play the part and be more surgical with who you're trying to get at, because there are people that deserve blocks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You're a professional guy. Like you said, people are saying, if they're saying really rotten stuff, going after your family, there's freedom of speech doesn't mean, you have a freedom to be an a-hole and I have to listen to it online. So I have no problem with that, but you're blocking people who are fans. I mean, I'm a fan of people that I've been blocked by, and it's just like, I blocked them back. It's my thing of going, all right, F you. You know what I mean? But yeah, I wish they didn't. It's an
unfortunate.
It really is.
Like I'm blocked by Dan Slott. I've never interacted with Dan Slott.
Me too.
And the funny thing is, my wife used to say that I was the only Dan Slott fanboy in the world because I used to go to comic conventions. I must have 6 pictures. You could see me and Dan Slott getting fatter and hairier over like if you were to flip the picture, hanging out together, talking and laughing. And, we didn't talk about politics. We talked about Spider-Man and the Thing and Iron Man. And you know what I mean?
Which is another thing too.
I was like, I'm not getting Twitter. And then finally I get Twitter. He was one of the first, I saw him for like a week or two. And then I think I followed somebody that he didn't like. And that activated some computer thing, and boom.
Same here. I think following Ethan and Ethan following myself is having me block myself. But look, I mean, Ethan's a great artist, and I'm not going to unfollow Ethan because people don't like what he's saying. But going to the point of politics and religion, remember back in the day we didn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Which
we never talked about politics, religion, and salaries.
That's it. And I think that's something that's missing from today, where it would just be so much more peaceful. Because even if you have a difference of political views, we're not that different from each other. Granted, there's this hyperbole that's always spoken about Nazi this and Nazi that for, whatever. Nobody even knows what part of the spectrum I'm on. You'll never know, but it's one of those things where it's just silly, man. We're all so much more alike than we everything is political now. Yep, for sure.
And not only that, there's like no escapism.
No.
It's like when diversity in comics. I don't know why I just blanked. But your boy Zach, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, now it's Comics Matter. That's one of his big things. Was like, I just want escapism. I don't want politics. And this was way back at the beginning. He said some racy things, but the very first thing he said is, "I just don't want politics in my comics." And they were attacked like, "How dare you?"
Right.
Like, to me, that was back in like 2016 or so. I saw that it was getting crazy, but at the time I didn't realize this is almost like a religious fervor.
It is.
It
is. And to say there was never politics in comics. Look, there was always
politics in
comics, but it wasn't
comics. I can't even talk.
Totally, but it wasn't on the nose. I'm breaking the fourth wall and looking at you and saying these slogans we hear every day. It was done by people who had tact and who are actual writers. I think there's a guy named Clifton Duncan who's on Twitter who said it best, where he said it's activists posing as writers.
Right,
is what the problem is. That these guys, and we've seen it.
Yeah,
they don't know how to write.
I'm trying to get Clifton on my channel. He said yes.
Oh, really? That would be awesome, man.
And I haven't heard from him since.
Oh, I hope that's
fun. I'd love to come on your channel. I was like, okay, great. When would you like to come? And then,
oh man, hit him up again. I would love to.
I first off, what a great voice. I listen to that guy read the phone book
for sure. Yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting to see a guy who got like in the acting side of everything. Like
totally, and got cut out for nothing, man. He was. That's a thing too. People throw the word liberal around a lot, as a derogatory term. But old school liberalism. Kennedy. This guy got kicked out by his own team, so to speak, just for not following. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy, and lost his livelihood. That was his livelihood, acting on Broadway, and to see for him to see it falling apart now is bittersweet, I would assume, for him, because it's almost like an "I told you so." But at the same point in time, his passion and his love for what he did is crumbling now. I heard Broadway's falling apart. They can't give away tickets, from what I hear. So
I tell you this, I moved out of the 5 boroughs. I jokingly call this the country. But, whenever I drive anywhere, I'm stuck in traffic too, so it's not really the country. But I won't go to Manhattan.
Yeah,
it is. First off, they just put this congestive taxing, so to drive through Manhattan, they charge you. We have that electronic. What do they call it? Easy Pass,
right? Like the toll booth, right?
Just to drive in Manhattan.
Wow.
Then they put up during COVID all the restaurants. It was the most insane thing in the world. You can't eat inside, so we're going to build a wooden structure with 4 walls and a door and windows.
Right.
And you can eat there.
And so it's inside at the same time. Yeah. It's so stupid.
But they didn't take them down. So that's, all the restaurants in the street have these little wooden shacks. So there's no parking.
Insane, man.
So like they reduced like the park. I'm like drooling. I'm getting so mad.
I don't blame you.
They reduced like all the parking in Manhattan because of all the restaurants, and the restaurants just wanted to stay. So you can't get mad at the restaurants. It's
no.
A perfect example of the government. Like, we're going to make a rule and we're going to cause you guys to fight because now I can't drive. And I remember at work, they're like, "Oh, this congested pricing, that's going to that's going to really fix Manhattan. It's like, no, it's not.
No.
Get rid of all of those ramshackle things. You know, my brother always said this, and he's brilliant. Put fire hydrants at the bus stop. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
then you got a bus stop, you can't park there. Then you got a fire hydrant. Just put the fire hydrant right next to the bus stop.
Right, because it's going to move. Yeah, nobody's parking there.
Bikes, you know, they got like a whole half block of just bicycles because this is a perfect example of the government trying to social engineer people away from cars.
Right.
But let the people decide. You know, your job is to just build a fence and stop letting us fight. You know,
exactly.
Let me do my business. If I don't want to, and now you're going to get taxed. You can't park, and I don't want to go. And what happens now? Clifton Douglas can't work in Broadway anymore. Nobody's going to the movies anymore. You know,
exactly.
Right now, the mayor of Manhattan needs to say, like, what can I do to make this as easy as possible and as attractive as possible for people to come into the city. You know,
right.
You know, I heard that the New York New Year's Eve was one of the lowest attended in years.
I can imagine.
Nobody went to Rockefeller Center to see the Christmas lighting.
Yeah.
You know, the restaurants closed. You know,
it's a bummer, and more government is always not the answer. They're idiots, you know, for the most part, and it's only a way for them to pad their pockets in one way or another. So.
And now I want to drive in. I got a Ford Fiesta. I got a tiny little gas efficient car, but it's going to cost me $30 just to cross an imaginary boundary. And then I got to pay another $40 just to park because you can't park in the street. I got to get a private, you know, a parking garage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then for what? For $18 hot dog, you know.
You just said it. Yeah.
I don't go.
I don't blame you. It's a shame too, because, you know, I have fond memories. Like I said, I was originally from Jersey. Same here, walking around, you know, walking to Rockefeller Center during Christmas, getting my chestnuts, and it's a bummer, man. You know, it's sad to see, but, you know, like everything else, it'll turn around. I have faith. You know, somebody smarter will come in.
It jumped up, but I do think that we hit something. I think we hit something. There's a corner going on. You know, I think that times are turning. We're going to come back. I don't want it to go to full on Reagan era conservative.
No,
although the music was so much better back then.
It was pretty good stuff.
I want to go into the middle where, like, okay, you could. Oh, so you're a Democrat. Oh, my dad was a Democrat. You're a Democrat. And we could actually, you know, like, well, you know, Eisenhower once said this, and actually have like a highfalutin conversation, and nobody's mad.
Exactly. You know, I always joke and say I feel like an idiot because I'm the guy that's the bottom. In the middle, watching the pendulum swing from one effing side to the other side drastically. And it's annoying, you know, so hopefully it'll catch into the middle a little bit and we can all just relax and realize we're not that different from each other, right. You know, regardless of political views, and we can disagree like adults and right. Still get along. So yeah, it's a shame.
You said before about comics always being political. I remember some guy was like, you know, and I was like, yeah, comics are always political, but nowadays they're just mouthpieces for the writer. And he goes, well, Silver Surfer was Stan Lee's mouthpiece. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, you know, it showed his views. I'm like, well, give me an example. And so he takes a picture. This is on Twitter, me being a stupid Twitter fighter. So he shows me a picture of Norrin Rad going, the earth is so beautiful. Why do people fight? Why is there violence? Why can't they appreciate? I go, that's everybody's politics.
That is. And that's the thing too.
That just shows me that you think conservatives, we just want to pollute. We want to murder people. I said, what are you, a kindergartner? I said, that's not politics. That's populism. That's everybody. Why? Show me anybody, you know, from India to Bolivia to whatever, who's not going, yeah, the earth is beautiful. Yeah, why do we fight? Why is there war? Why can't we appreciate the beauty around? I said, yes, that's everybody's mouthpiece.
Exactly.
Said, politics.
Yeah, that's what we all wish for. Regardless of politics, we all wish there would just be peaceful. That's so funny. What a dumb thing for somebody to say. And that's the thing too, is it's you know, it's you're arguing with some special people online sometimes, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, man. And I've been guilty of it too. I'm not, you know, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's when things were political, but it wasn't like you said, a mouthpiece. It wasn't just somebody turning the character that we've known. And look, there's also books that, you know, Green Lantern and Green Arrow. There was two different views. You know what I mean?
Right. Randy O'Neill tried his best to have Green Arrow be the liberal and Hal Jordan be the conservative. And
exactly.
Even though Denny O'Neill was I call him a classical liberal because I think today he would be a Nazi, you know, to the progressives. But he tried his best to have a balanced argument, you know.
Totally. You know, and I think that's what it's about. It's about a balanced nuance, not a one-sidedness, because you got to figure you're trying to reach a bunch of people with your product, not just one side. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it's failing. And it's funny because it's not even like they're trying to reach classic liberals, which obviously, like we know, you're a Nazi today. You know, if you were spoken of, but they're trying to reach such a small demographic that is essentially people that like posts on Twitter that don't buy comics.
They don't buy
You're-
comics, and
No.
and they don't have any money.
No, exactly. Yeah. So you're the fan base you're going after is not there, and
Yeah,
it's
the Phantom,
sad.
yeah. What was the name of the Phantom Force?
Phantom Force. Yes, exactly. That's who you're going after. Is the Phantom
Yeah,
Force.
going after
Exactly.
Phantom Force.
That's awesome.
What does Marcus? Green Lantern took a beating. Yes, you're right, and the sales took a beating.
Mhm.
Everybody talks about this, but they quickly went back to the status quo of Green Lantern because the hard traveling here people didn't want the politics. They didn't go to comic books to hear Archie and Meathead fighting. You know,
that's fun. That's a great point. You know, for me, speaking of that, them having it balanced. But you're right. At the same point in time, no matter how balanced it was, people are coming for escapism. So Cam's right. Yeah, yeah. It's insane. That's what we're there for.
Used to be arguing over how we allocate budgets.
Yes,
that's what separated the parties. Now it's fundamental. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fundamentally reality being argued. That's a perfect. That's a great statement, man. Because that's what it is. Yeah,
Cam is smart. Cam, I keep trying to get Cam to come on my channel and talk. Cam, come on my channel. You know,
yeah, you should.
He's a civilian. He's not a YouTube guy. But
well, I'm going to be. I'll be going to MegaCon sometime soon at the next convention when the little one's here and out. So hopefully maybe I can meet Cam in person in Florida.
Yeah, Cam, reach out when you're out there. You know, he goes to MegaCon. My friend Mike, who, you know, the three of us, we were all in the same comic book store. Mm-hmm. They go down to Florida all the time. I think, you know, Mike doesn't go anymore. You know that movie Old Dads? My friend Mike is old dad. Oh. You know, he's in his 50s and now he has like a change in diapers.
That's funny. I'm 47. I got my little one on the way and I have a 3-year-old. So totally an old dad here too. It's too funny, man. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, are you in Jackson?
No, I'm in Gainesville, Florida, actually. So right south of Jacksonville. So.
Where are you, Cam? I forget where you are. I just avoid Florida because I don't like the humidity. I've been in this channel. John isn't too scary. Yeah, I know. I said that to Gail Simone. Come on my channel. I'm not too scary. Yeah, but they don't want to engage with anybody unless they know.
It's silly. It's
silly. They the party line.
Yeah, which is it's not a good way to have a conversation. It's not a good way to get your ideas out there either. You know? Oh, you're in Jacksonville? That's awesome. Yeah, so right north of me.
I had a couple of people that I know for a fact we disagree with, but it was great because we were comic book fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the common ground, you know, and like we were saying earlier, you can disagree. We're not that fundamentally different where it even needs to be brought up or you know, you can agree to disagree and still get on with our lives. I think what Cam was saying is very important, is that you can't argue with the people who don't believe in reality, which is a totally different subject, you know.
You know, objective. You know, I could argue with people in a friendly argument, religion and philosophy and stuff like that. But, you know, once we're going to start saying that there's no such thing as objective truth and 1 + 1 = 3, I've heard people telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
it's not worth your breath at that point.
Yeah, I know. At that point, I'm like, 5 years ago, I was typing away. Somebody said something wrong on Twitter.
Oh, I get it.
I'm getting a little bit better, but I've been ranting and raving about other stuff than your comics. So let's finish out talking about your comic again.
That's my favorite thing to do, to be honest with you. So I've had people apologize about that. I love talking and shooting the BS, brother. So it's great.
Yeah. Okay, great.
No, 100%. My comic is Tome of Reckoning. We close out on Sunday on Indiegogo. I think on Friday or Thursday on Kickstarter. Don't ask how I screwed that up. I think the memory went with the hair. But it's 72 pages of story, straight story. So you get full colored stuff. It's my passion project. It's a horror adventure story in the vein of let's see, maybe some The Talisman. I don't know if anybody's read that. It's, you know what? My book is its own thing. Give it a shot. Check it out. $7 for PDFs, which if you want, but
yeah, you don't want to compare it to something else, but you know,
it's hard, you know, and I know you sort of have to and my buddy Jolly Green's like, you got to find something you can compare it perfectly to, so people, and he's right. I've just had such a hard time, and not that my thing is so unique that it's its own thing, but to me it is
really a unique brand of genius.
Yeah, exactly. I think people that like a little bit of humor, a little bit of adventure, a little heart, actually a lot of heart, will like this book. And you know, when it's a horror book, but in the sense of I say horror adventure. So there's horrific aspects, but it's really an adventure story, and it has a familial heart. It's got a really sweet tone to it when it comes to the main characters and why they're together and how they're together and what they're fighting for. So they're fighting for a future, like we all are, I think, right now. And I think it's a book that I hope people will give it a chance. Like I said, there's 2 issues out right now. You get a good gist of how the story's written and what it's about. 3rd issue's coming out. I'm launching in April. There's a whole new set of characters I'm launching with that as well. So it's like my B team, so to speak. And from there on out, the story just keeps on trucking. So
thank you, Crenshaw. That sounds great. That sounds great. And again, I'm going to back right now. I just don't want to take out my phone while I'm talking to you.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Normally I would talk more, but I have another show at 8:30, a comic book team up with RJ and Mike Gustovich, comic book legend. Mike Gustovich is going to be on, creator of the Acceptance Machine. So I gotta get my fanboy gushing out before I go live with that.
I don't blame you.
So check that out. Same channel, same bat time, same bat channel.
Awesome, John. Thank you for having me on, man.
Oh yeah, and come back anytime.
I would love to. I would love to.
It's so easy to talk to. I love when I just say one thing and next thing you know we're riffing for an hour.
I love that too. That's why I say don't ever apologize for not talking about the book. The book will be there, but I love shooting the BS with people, man. It's fun.
And come back, man. This is great. Yeah.
Cam, thank you, Cam.
All right, thanks a lot, everybody. And
awesome.
I really like What Geeks Do Network made this for me, so I'm going to play the intro as the outro again because I just love this. All right, see you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.